The Indianapolis Colts must take advantage of a down New England Patriots team this weekend. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Colts, your daily Indianapolis Colts podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
For tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. This is your daily podcast covering your Indianapolis Colts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code, all lowercase, LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Hello, everyone. I'm Zach Hicks, your favorite host here on Locked On Colts. Today, I'm joined by Evan Lazar of Patriots.com, one of the best film guys in the game, does a great job breaking down everything that's going on with that Patriots team. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk all New England Patriots, get ready for this big matchup on Sunday. And if Evan's video is cutting out just a little bit for you guys on YouTube, it's because he's actually over there in Germany, getting ready for this game, having a blast out there. Evan, first off, before we jump into it, man, how's Germany and how's the fans out there?
Yeah, I apologize for the hotel Wi-Fi if it's a little spotty, but Germany's been great. It's a really cool atmosphere here. As the game gets closer, it's full week where as we inch closer to the game, more and more people are coming, and you see more and more jerseys around town and things like that. And we've had some great fan events the last couple of nights that have been a ton of fun, and you just see a lot of energy. And we were talking before we hit record here that both these teams, the Patriots especially, but both these teams are not exactly, the Peyton Manning and Tom Brady era Colts and Patriots anymore. But you don't tell that to the people here. Like I'm telling you, the fans here, the European fans, it's not just Germany. I've met people from all over Europe that are here for the game, and they're all just really excited to watch and go to it if they are lucky enough to have tickets, regardless of the fact that the matchup might not be as good as it once was when we were kids.
Yeah, it's great. We're sending them Gardner Minshew versus Mac Jones out there in Germany. Something to get really excited about for all those Germany fans. But we're going to talk about this Patriots offense to kind of kick off this show. The Patriots offense obviously has been the more disappointing of the two sides for the Patriots of their offense and defense. The offense has definitely let down the defense a little bit more than the other way around. The Patriots offense right now is 28th in points for, which is 15 points per game as of right now through 9 weeks. So they're struggling to score points. I think only 24% of their offensive drives this year have ended in a score, which is the second worst in all of football right now. So they're just not scoring points. Their overall efficiency is not great. 24th in net yards per pass attempt, 24th in rushing yards per attempt. So an inefficient offense that can't score points. Evan, what's it been like covering this Patriots offense this season?
Like an inefficient offense that can't score points. I think that's really how it's been. There just isn't a whole lot of anything dangerous or explosive or exciting about watching this offense week in and week. They've been better of late. I say that lightly, but they haven't been. Rock bottom was obviously those two games against Dallas and New Orleans that they lost 72-3 and only scored 3 points over 2 weeks. That was rock bottom. The last couple of weeks, they've at least put some points on the board. Obviously, the big win against Buffalo was the kind of pinnacle of it, but they've been able to score a little. I think what you see on film with this offense is a really thin margin of error for Mac Jones and for the passing attack, because there just isn't a whole lot of opportunities created by the players, at the skill position. So we're here in New England, we're breaking down like 3 or 4 plays a game that Mac Jones in, where it's everything is getting super overanalyzed over like 2 or 3 or 4 type of plays down the field, that he missed an open receiver there, had a bad throw here, the route wasn't great there, like all these little things. And I think, we were down in Miami a couple of weeks watching that Dolphins. The Dolphins didn't really have a great day offensively, to start. They had a couple turnovers. Tua threw a bad pick early on in that game. And then you look, right? Like, so all these offenses that I think you see around the league that are really clicking and are scoring a lot of points, they don't overanalyze 3 or 4 plays a game and say, oh, those are the reasons why we lost this day, because they're able to just create 3 or 4 plays a drive down the field versus maybe just a couple in an entire game. And that's where I think the Patriots are really at right now. Bill O'Brien's done some nice things, but to put it frankly, he's trying to put lipstick on a pig with the personnel that they have, and he hasn't really been able to do it. So I think that there's some blame to go around. Most of the blame here, I would say, is directed at the quarterback for the most part. And Mac has definitely not played well, and he's missed some throws in the last couple of weeks that he should have made. Had a bad interception before the half against Miami, and then last week there were opportunities on the film that he was just flat out missing reads, missing throws, things like that. So I think what you look at this offense is a chicken or the egg. Like, is it because they don't have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle or A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith that they're not able to move the ball very consistently? Or is it because the quarterback is not very good? And I think that that's really what is a tough one, because you can kind of make a case for either direction. Like, you can talk me into either of those things being true.
Yeah, and we're kind of seeing a similar situation here in Indy, which, unfortunately, it's with our backup, though. With you guys, that's your starter. That's your guy that you're rolling into the season with. With our backup guy, we're seeing the similar thing where Gardner Minshew is having like 95% of the time a really good game, and then you'll get the back foot throw against pressure where it's a pick, or the fumble where he should have seen the pressure coming. And you guys are seeing that with Mac Jones. One question I really had for you, though, is, Bill O'Brien comes in this year expected to, I don't want to say like fix everything, because he's a real offensive coordinator compared to what was going on last year at offensive coordinator with the Patriots. But Bill O'Brien comes in off the heels of a lot of success at Alabama and obviously with the Texans in the NFL. And again, the offense is still just not really flowing. Again, it can be playmakers, it can be quarterback, it can be offensive line. But do you see him with his scheme? Do you see the potential for that to work at all this year? Or do you see it more as he's kind of calling plays a little scared of his quarterback, of his weapons, of his offensive line? Maybe not to the same degree that like we're seeing with like the Panthers, but do you kind of see that a little bit with the Panthers or with the Patriots offense?
I think there were periods of time this season where that was certainly the case. Like, coming off of those games I mentioned against the Dallas and New Orleans, there was a lot of conversations about benching Mac Jones. And I think the Patriots were really seriously considering it after the New Orleans game, where they got shut out at home by the Saints. It's a good defense the New Orleans has, but we're not talking about like the 85 Bears, right? You should be able to score some points in a home game against that team. And they weren't able to do it. But I think what the problem has been is that they don't really trust any of their backups. Bailey Zappi, they have Will Grier on the roster now. And those guys, I just don't, they've used Bill O'Brien. I've liked some of the schematic things that he's done. And I try to say this a lot on our shows, and sometimes people push back on me. But I really feel that this year, the issues offensively are not necessarily that they don't have answers to the test. Now it's more about execution and that players going out there and actually making plays. Like, there's a lot more sophistication to what they're doing. They have a legit RPO package now. They have answers against blitz pressure, whether it's checks or, resetting things up front to pick up a blitz, or site adjustments with routes and things like that. You can see that it's a professionally coordinated offense. Whereas last year, they'd get up to the line of scrimmage, some team would send a blitz at them, and it would just go unblocked, and Mac would get sacked. And you're just, kind of looking around like, does he not have like a alert system or anything that he can kind of check to at the line of scrimmage to get out of this play? That's certainly not going to work. The players, the answer was that they really did strip the protection scheme, and they basically had it down to the studs to the point where they did types of answers. So I think Bill O'Brien's providing them with more solutions, especially in their drop back passing game. But at the same time, the execution has just been all over the place, inconsistent. That O'Brien uses every time we talk to him, which we get him weekly, inconsistent. That's what he's saying. There are plays that you can put up on the screen and say, oh, well, that was a really nice run play. Ramondre Stevenson hits a 64-yard touchdown last week against the Commanders. That was a well-blocked, great executed run. Mac Jones threw a touchdown pass to Hunter Henry. That was a really nice play. But those things, aren't happening consistently enough.
Yeah. Coming up, guys, if you guys are Patriots fans that are listening to this show, we're going to have a more optimistic segment coming up. If you guys are Colts fans, again, a little something more to watch coming up after this break. PrizePicks is the most fun I've had, winning up to 25 times my money this football season. You just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. With the basketball season here, you can now do a pick combo projection across football and basketball from the Specials League, a league created specifically for combo projections that includes 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. For example, if you're a big basketball fan and a big football fan, go right now to PrizePicks, do LeBron James and Travis Kelce at a 10.5 combo with 3-pointers made and receptions. PrizePicks also offers the greatest thing in all of daily fantasy sports, and that is the reboot policy. So your entries even stay in play if one of your players gets injured. For football and basketball games, you have a player that exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second. That player is rebooted. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy. Guys, one pick I really love on PrizePicks this weekend is running back Zach Moss with a more or less projection of 26.5 rushing yards against New England Patriots. Yes, I know this New England Patriots run defense is pretty solid, but Zach Moss is pretty solid as well. So go over there, hit that more on 26.5 rushing yards, and have some fun with that. So go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use promo code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. And Colts fans, we spend a lot of time talking together, you and I. We get fired up together on wins and losses, who starts and who sits. I'm thankful for that connection that we have. And today, I want our chat to be a little more personal. I just learned that you can go get a 1-year supply on ED medications with Jase Medical. You are covered, my friend. You don't have to worry about whether or not you could refill your generics for Cialis, Viagra, or Revatio prescription. And this is possible because of our friends over at Jase Medical with the Jase case. Go online right now at jasemedical.com to receive your 12-month supply on your daily medication. Remember, use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout for a discount as well. A verified customer had this to say about Jase: I am thankful for this service. Supply chain issues have caused me to cut my pills in half just to have it. I ordered most of my daily meds with a year supply. I also ordered the antibiotic kit. I feel secure now. Prices are lower than local pharmacies. I highly recommend this for anyone. And guys, with the state of the world right now, the way that we constantly have all this craziness going on around us, it's nice just to have that backup plan, that thing that you can always rely on. And that's what the Jase case is. So if you or someone you love would love some peace of mind by having a year supply of any daily med, go to jasemedical.com to see if it's offered to you. Remember, use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off of your purchase. Alrighty, guys, we are back. Everydayers here with Locked On Colts to an episode with Evan Lazar of Patriots.com talking Colts Patriots. Evan is reporting here from the grounds out there in Germany, getting ready for this Colts and Patriots matchup. Now we're talking about the Patriots defense. Obviously, it's been a much brighter spot than the Patriots offense has been this year. The Patriots offense doesn't really have many answers right now with their personnel, with their quarterback play, offensive line play. Their defense, though, it hasn't been good enough to carry this team. But you can see at least there being some positives. And honestly, the defense has more excuses too than the offense right now with the amount of injuries they've had on defense. Obviously, Christian Gonzalez out for the season. They're highly touted first-round pick, outstanding young corner. But Evan, what's your overall takeaway of this Patriots defense so far through 9 weeks? It's not the typical Bill Belichick defense, but they're still doing some pretty decent things over there.
Yeah, no, I think you summed it up really nicely there when you said that they're not good enough right now to carry this team to a better record, but that doesn't mean that they haven't put some good stuff out there, because they have played well at times this season. You mentioned the 2 injuries. I personally think it's not an excuse for the team, but losing Judon and Christian Gonzalez in the same game down, and I think was pretty much the death sentence for this entire season. I think that is really where you felt not only did they lose those 2 guys, they also got blown out in the game. And I think you kind of felt like that was a real tipping point for this team early on in the season. And they've struggled to replace Gonzalez. Now, that's not to say that Judon's not a big loss too, but I think with the way that they're able to scheme pressure and the way that Steve Belichick and Gerard Mayo are very good with simulated pressures or creepers, disguising rushes and things like that. Been able to get after the quarterback some, a couple weeks ago, they really started to blitz a whole lot more the last, I would say, 3 or 4 weeks. Their blitz rate has really increased, and they've come after guys. It worked against Josh Allen. That was like the big game where it all kind of came together. And I think that it hasn't worked as successfully the last couple of weeks. And what we're seeing in the back end specifically is a lot of undisciplined play, like just not Belichick like, where guys are getting their eyes caught in the backfield on a long touchdown to Tyreek Hill, or Sam Howell's like throwing across the field his body because they're in a zone and they don't have a flat defender in the zone and they just bust the coverage. Like the touchdown pass to Jalen Waddle at the end of the game against it was a pretty bad day overall for the offense, but they did get the Patriots within one score in the fourth quarter, and they just needed the ball back to maybe try to tie the game. And the defense, 2 guys go at Tyreek Hill, nobody goes with Jalen Waddle, game over, right? Like those types of plays have been happening more recently. And I think a big development last week, they shut down J.C. Jackson for the first quarter. Belichick was called after based off the reports recently that it was disciplinary in nature due to a missed curfew the night before the game to Germany. He was ruled out on Thursday and was ruled out reportedly ruled out earlier in the week and didn't practice all week and didn't make the trip. So I think they're trying to send a message, to guys that if you're not locked in mentally, and JC was in the middle of a lot of those busts, then you're not going to play. And I think that's really been their Achilles heel recently, is just a lot of big plays happening, not necessarily because the other team is making great plays, but because they're making it easy to make big plays. So they've allowed 11 explosives over the last 2 weeks. Now, 5 of those were against Miami, which you expect to give up some big chunks against the Dolphins, but giving up 6 to the Commanders last week was tough to watch.
Yeah. So some numbers to throw with what you're saying here. The Patriots actually the 4th highest blitz percentage in the NFL right now. I believe I saw it was at 37.5%. When, like you said, it's been just increasing a lot recently. But something I was really interested in, and you kind of mentioned here with their pass defense, is they're allowing a lot of conversions through the air. I think they allow the 3rd most first downs through the air this year, 8th most passing yards in total this year. They're allowing 8.3 average depth yards per target as well. So a lot of these passes are going down the field, not a lot of checkdowns against the Patriots, a lot of explosives like you mentioned. And they're doing this too with a pretty solid run defense, only 3.5 yards per carry against. Now, I think that's a little bit skewed because teams are running late in blowout games into obvious run situations. So it's a tad bit skewed there, but good run defense, good blitzing team, gets a lot of pressure, but they are susceptible to those big plays. Now, I wish the Colts had a quarterback who could exploit that a little bit, but we'll see what they can do this weekend with Gardner Minshew. But yeah, overall, when I look at this Patriots defense, like, again, there is something there, but I saw it last week when you were actually talking about the Commanders game. It's like the zone coverage and the coverage miscues on the back end. It's like you can't really pair that with a high blitzing team because you get those explosives against them, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what happened on that Howell play, which is for me personally, if you're going to give up like the touchdown to Jahan Dotson, which was a cover 0, the blitz didn't really get home and the corners are one-on-one down the field and Miles Bryant loses on a post route to Jahan Dotson, gives up a touchdown. That play was more execution based. Like they just didn't really have a play from really both ends, like the back end or the front. But the throw to Byron Pringle that I just talked about on, if people can go watch it, like Howell is under siege. Josh Uche comes up unblocked through the middle of the line of scrimmage. Howell's running to his right off his back foot, throws it all the way across the field to the left. I think Next Gen clocked it at like a 30 40-yard air yard pass. Even if it wasn't like a bomb, it was just that he was that far away from where he threw the ball. And when I'm watching it live, I'm like, well, everybody I think was like, what the heck is he doing? And then I kind of was watching it develop, and I was like, there's nobody over there, right? Like there's no Patriots, I should say, over there. So he's just throwing to this big open space where there's no coverage. And like you said, exactly, you can't blitz and then give up, bust the coverage on the back end. And if you do blitz, then you got to get home, right? And that's where this like Jekyll and Hyde thing is going on, where the cover zero happens on the touchdown to Dotson, and the blitz doesn't get home. So that you can't run cover zero and not get any pressure on the quarterback. Like that's just gonna be a long day. And then they do get pressure up front, and then they bust the coverage, right? So it's just a combination of those things just not really made up consistently enough right now. And I think it's a little bit disappointing in that game last week too, that they weren't able to rattle Sam Howell a little bit, because that's been Belichick's MO. Even post Brady, they've been able to win these games against lesser quarterbacks, backup quarterbacks, whatever you want. I don't know, bridge guy, whatever. A guy like Gardner Minshew on Sunday. Even post Brady, they've been able to win that game, and that's why at times on offense they still won 8 games and almost made the playoffs, because they were able to pile together backup quarterback wins, or off without any of his weapons, or things like that, because of injury luck. And now those types of games aren't even good, which you look at this game, you look at the Raiders game in Las Vegas, where Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt at halftime, the entire second half of the game, and the Patriots lost. Those are games that have still tilted in their favor. They win 7 games, 10 games, 8 games, 7 with Cam Newton in the COVID year. They were winning those games still because they were able to beat these bad quarterbacks.
Yeah. So again, Patriots defense still pretty solid, but just not there. It's just not enough, especially with what they're doing on offense. But coming up, guys, we're going to talk about our final thoughts on this game. Again, Evan is out there live in Germany, so we're going to have some fun talking about our final predictions and what we expect to see this weekend from the Colts and the Patriots. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. This time of year can be a lot, and it's natural to feel some sadness or anxiety about it. Guys, my day job, I work over in retail. I know how crazy Christmas can get. I've seen it in other people. I've seen it in myself. But adding something new and positive to your life can counteract some of those crazy feelings. Therapy can be a bright spot amid all the stress and change, something to look forward to and to make you feel grounded and give you the tools to manage everything going on. If you're thinking of trying therapy, give BetterHelp a try. I've tried therapy quite a few times in my life, guys. I love it. It has always helped me just find that grounded spot that I really need, and has really helped me get back to where I want to be. So BetterHelp is great. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Find your bright spot this season with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOn today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOn. All right, everydayers, we are back talking Colts, Patriots, Germany game this weekend. So you guys make sure that you're waking up nice and early, especially all you West Coast guys. Wake up really, really early for this game between the Colts and the Patriots. But we're going to do our final thoughts going into this game. I mean, both these teams, I don't want to say they're playing for nothing or they're just playing for pride at this point. But obviously, Indianapolis Colts with a backup quarterback, at best, you're maybe a low wild card team that loses in the first round. Like, you're just not really going to go that far at best with your season. And then the New England Patriots sitting at 2-7. You're not tanking, you're not throwing the hat in right now, but like, you're close. You're close to the end of the season there. So maybe not super exciting as a matchup going into the weekend for all these teams here. Maybe a matchup the Colts should win if they want to get their season back on track. But Evan, what are you kind of expecting to see this weekend? You've been around this Patriots team all year. You've seen the highs and lows. What are you kind of expecting here in Germany this weekend?
Yeah, honestly, this game could go totally either way. I wish I had a straight answer for you, but I really, until we see their compete level and their effort on Sunday, I just don't know what to expect from the Patriots. It's it's a long trip, or it was a long trip for them. You fly 7 hours over here, and then you get your body clock adjusted. And trust me, I've been here for a couple of days, and I still don't know what time it is. So that's a difficult thing to deal with for a football team. And I'm not even going out and playing on Sunday, so I can't even imagine all of that. So with all that said, a 2-7 football team making a trip like this, essential disaster. But I think the one thing that the Patriots have in this game, because there's not a whole lot of things I can say about the Patriots matchup, but the atmosphere here, at least so far in Frankfurt, has been very pro-Patriots, and I think there is going to be a decent amount of Patriots fans at this game. And a lot of the people that we've met and been able to talk to the last couple of days are really hoping that the Patriots are going to put together a professional performance on Sunday and show them something.
Yeah.
Positive. I think that maybe they show out for this fan base, right? It's a big game. And I think that's something that we've been talking about a lot on our shows. I hate calling it like their Super Bowl, because it's a regular season game, and obviously both teams know about actually playing in Super Bowl. So I hate calling it that, but at the same time, it kind of is in a way, because of how much the organization has put into German, put into this entire effort. Like when I tell you, all hands are on deck in the organization from our side of things to make this game happen. And this is a big, big game for ownership and for the Kraft family and all of that. So when you start checking his future here as the head coach and his job security, if they go out on Sunday and they get blown out by the Colts in Germany, they're not going to fire Bill in season. I don't see that happening. But if we get to January and he gets fired, the reports are going to, the final straw was losing badly to the Colts in Germany. Like that's going to end up being the thing that they're going to say that was just a bridge too far for us. So if that happens, then this is a tenuous situation at best. But I really have to think that the Patriots are going to make the most of this experience and ride the home fans here in Frankfurt and put together a solid game on Sunday.
Yeah. I think on paper, some people might be thinking this is a game that's similar to that Carolina Panthers game where, look, the Colts were just on a different tier than that Panthers team. The Panthers were just not ready for that game, and they did not play well whatsoever. While the records are kind of similar between the Panthers and the Patriots, I think the Patriots are the better football team. Obviously, in that situation, more professional offense, more professional defense than what the Colts saw this past week. So I do expect this to be a closer game. But I know all of us here in Indy would love some retribution for Frank Reich getting fired after that Patriots game last year, after the Colts got embarrassed against the Patriots. We'd love some retribution to embarrass the Patriots and get Bill Belichick fired. I think all Colts fans would have a blast with that right there. That story would be fantastic. We would all love it here in Indy.
I didn't even think of that. Honestly, we're just so dialed into this, frankly, mess that's going on in New England. I didn't even really think about Frank Reich getting canned after that game last year. That game last year was one of the worst offensive games I've ever seen. That was on both sides. Like, both offenses were just absolutely horrific. The Colts, it was the sacks, right? Like, Ellen took like 7. Patriots just literally couldn't move the ball from point A to point B. Like, it just was an absolutely disgusting offensive game on both sides. So it's something tells though that this is going to be maybe a little bit different. Like the Chiefs-Dolphins game wasn't really this like explosion of offense that people thought it was going to be. And that way that ends up reversing script a little bit, and these two teams kind of put up some points. I wouldn't mind it, because like I got to be there one way or another. Might as well make it inning. But I also think that could potentially be the case. So I picked, I went back and forth in this game all week long, because I are playing better right now than the Patriots. I think that they're playing better offensively for sure than New England is. But I do think crowd is going to carry the Patriots a little bit in the beginning of this game. So I ended up picking the Pats 27-24. that was probably a homer pick founded by a bunch of rabid German Pats fans. But I think that, it's going to be one of those types of games where I think it will be entertaining. It will be a little bit back and forth.
Yep. It really comes down to which quarterback in this game has fewer turnovers. That's the biggest thing in this one, with Mac Jones, Gardner Minshew, both top 10 in the NFL in most turnovers this year, which a little more impressive, I think, for Gardner because he hasn't started every single game. So, hats off for Gardner Minshew doing that in fewer starts. But it'll be a fun one to see this weekend here in Germany, guys. If you guys don't already, make sure you're following Evan on social media. Does a great job there with Patriots.com at EZ Lazar. Over there, again, at Patriots.com. Really great film guy. And if you guys don't already, make sure you're following us at Locked On Colts, at Jake Arthur NFL, and at Zach Hicks 2, all on Twitter. Also, subscribe to us on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. We'd love your guys' ratings and reviews, and we'll see you guys back here. I can actually say, bright and early on Sunday after the game.